What's up, everybody? My name is Russell De La Pena, and in this video, I'm going to share with you the one thing that you can add to your sales and marketing to exponentially grow your audience, your tribe, connect with them, get them to know, like, and trust you, and amplify your offer. I wanted to share with you the one thing that you can do to amplify and grow your business, connect with your audience, and definitely make your offer stand out and more compelling. Amplify your offer. And that's called the origin story. The origin story is essentially letting people know who you are, what your background is, and how it relates to your offer, whatever it is that you sell. So whether it's a physical product or a digital product like what I do, your origin story is going to allow you to connect with your audience. It's going to allow you to amplify your offer. A lot of times as a copywriter, I get folks that will come to me and say, here's what I sell. And it's almost kind of like they dump it on my desk and they hope that it's going to sell because it's so valuable, whatever the product or service is. And maybe it is, maybe it's very, very valuable, but packaging it in a way to where the human brain reacts and connects with it is critical. So for me, for example, years ago, the way I got into digital marketing and as a direct response copywriter was first I was a realtor. I used to work 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was insane. I was stressed on a regular basis. Now, a lot of my family would say, hey, Russ, keep going because you're making lots of money. This is the way to go. And I say, yeah, that's great, but it's great for you to say, but I'm the one working 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm stressed on a regular basis. I'm in the office at 7 a.m. I leave and get home about midnight, sometimes by submitting offers, so I'm not getting yelled at by either the buyer or the seller. I'm working crazy hours. I'm driving around town showing houses, honestly, that I felt that people could just look at themselves. Here's a roof, here's a bedroom, here's a garage. Do you want it? And I ended up having to do that myself. I at one point I started to hire assistants, and then I had to manage them, and it just became a big headache for me. And while I know there are people that are successful, obviously in real estate, for me, as a person who likes to be home with my family on a regular basis, wake up in the morning in a t-shirt. In fact, this morning I woke up at 5 a.m. I went for a prayer walk, then started to get into the Bible, and then after that started to dive into some marketing lessons so I could learn more about marketing and master my craft. For me, it was like that was what I wanted to ultimately do, but I just didn't know what vehicle would allow me to do that. Well, fast forward in my real estate career, I started to market and do a television commercial. At that time, that's what made sense. And I was spending a couple $1,000 a month on a television commercial. And I was like, man, I'm a big shot. This is what my competitors are doing. I must be the guy who should do that as well. But what I found out quickly is I really didn't know what I was doing. And that commercial became something that just siphoned money out of my bank account on a regular monthly basis. And so I had my house, assistants, people, a whole staff kind of thing that were helping me, and it was just bleeding me dry of cash. And in the end, unfortunately, I began to realize I'm losing cash fast. I'm in big trouble. If I don't do something quickly, this is the end of it. And the reality is, it was the end. I got to a point where I found myself spending more than I was taking in. I realized that the end was coming. I needed to file bankruptcy. And so I did. I went into the courthouse and I filed bankruptcy. I'm not proud of that. I'm not excited about that, but I did that because I was trying to, I sold my house for $1,000 to an investor. If you can believe that. I actually had an investor send out mail to me and say, and it's hard to even talk about it, but hey, I can stop you from foreclosure. I can stop that from being on your credit. Here's $1,000. Give me the title and I'll take your house and you'll save that. And, at that time I had no idea if that was the right thing to do or not. I thought, hey, I'm already, behind on all my debts. I started to do cash advances, which are, as you know, probably the worst thing that you could possibly do. It basically, they say when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. And I was just digging and digging and digging and find myself deeper and deeper into debt. And eventually the writing was on the wall. I found myself, I remember being in my house and starting to sell my furniture, my car. I parked it somewhere to hide it from the repo guys so that way I'd still have transportation until eventually I said, hey, it's over in this place, come pick it up. No car, emptied out my furniture in my house. It's still even difficult to talk about it to this day because it was a rough period. And for several years thereafter, I ended up moving in with my grandmother, sleeping on her floor in my mid-30s. And it was rough. It was absolutely rough to go for several years. I even hate to admit it was 5 years where I was like, people would go get a job, and I just hated the idea of doing that. Now, I'm not saying that was right or wrong. I'm not telling you, if you're struggling, go live on your grandmother's floor for 5 years in your mid-30s. I was single at the time, and I was like, I just so badly wanted to get away from going to work and doing something that I absolutely hated. At the time, there was a lot of good things about real estate, but I didn't love it. I wanted every single day, I wanted to love it. They talk about the 40-40-40 plan, working 40 hours a week for 40 years to retire on 40% of what wasn't working in the first place. And that concept was in my mind, and I wanted everything to do with avoiding that. I absolutely did not want to be day-to-day miserable like many people are. And so fast forward, I'm online one night, and I'm finding some guy in real estate that was writing copy on landing pages. And then when you gave him your name and email, you would get emails from him automated. And this guy was a real estate investor, and he was teaching how to buy and sell or flip properties with no money down, but do it virtually 100%. And I thought, that's an interesting concept. So you mean that you're buying and selling and flipping houses from home, and you don't meet with the seller, you don't meet with the buyer, you don't even see the house. I thought, how is that possible? I mean, I was driving around constantly to show houses and in order for them to sell. And at one point, I got to a point where I could hire assistants to do that for me. But it was this big show that I was doing in order to make things work in my business. And here's this guy is from the comfort of his own home, who knows, maybe in a t-shirt and underwear on a sofa, and has all these automated systems, these web pages and these emails that were allowing him to buy and sell houses with no money down and do it without ever meeting anybody. And I thought, how is that possible? And then I thought, how am I going to explain this to anybody else? Because no one's going to believe that's even possible. I barely believed it was possible. But as I dove into it more and more, I started to learn what he was doing was he had mastered a set of skills that if I could master, I would be successful too. Number one was copywriting. Number two was storytelling or story selling, as we say. Number three is automation, how to automate 90% of your sales and marketing. And the one thing that he would do well is tell his origin story. His origin story was his personal story, kind of like what I'm telling you right now. This is my origin story. This is parts of it, right? This is like the main part where it allows you in your marketplace to connect with your dream clients. Instead of just dumping a bunch of facts and benefits and features about your products and services, the idea is that you want to share your particular story and how it relates to your offer. For me, as I started to dive deeper into the rabbit hole, if you will, of this gentleman's marketing online, I became addicted. I was like, this is amazing. I want to learn this. This is my vehicle that is going to stop me from working 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, and having to hire people because I can automate these processes, the same things that I was hiring humans to do, right? Today in California, for example, if I go to the grocery store, if I go to the bank, there's automated tellers. There's at the grocery store, there's automated checkout. There's one person. There used to be several people to handle each register, but now it's automated. And so I realized I've got to embrace this idea of automation. I've got to start leveraging artificial intelligence and things like that so that way I can kind of stay with the times. And so as I watched what he was doing, I was like, that seems like the future. This was in 2009. And I remember going, that's the future of real estate, right? It's so automated. So I jumped on board. I got in. And again, fast forward even further. And today I'm a direct response copywriter and sales funnel builder. I geek out on all the funnel hacking and Russell Brunson ClickFunnels type stuff. And I love it. You know, it allows me and my wife to work 3 days a week, not 7 days a week. A normal day's work instead of 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, craziness. The stress we have is almost zero, other than our own life and family stuff, right? I mean, when it comes to work, it's almost zero. And we live a lifestyle today that at that time I so desperately wanted. You know, I wake up and I'm in a t-shirt, shorts, and that's it. That's my uniform. My commute is to my office in my house, and that's it. Whereas back then, it was a completely different story. And so that's my origin story. What is your origin story? Comment down below. Definitely make sure to like and subscribe to this video if what I'm saying is helping you. Your origin story ought to connect with people that you are wanting to serve. My hope is that my origin story is connecting with you. If you're somebody who's a coach, a consultant, a course creator, or you want to be, this is the channel for you. And what I do is I serve that particular market. And my hopes with my origin story when I'm out in the marketplace is to connect with people that say, yeah, I don't want to work 14 to 16 hours a day. I don't want to have the stress. I got to a point where I was literally physically ill at one point because of the stress. It was a bad day. You know, it was stress because I had deals that were falling apart. If you're in real estate, you understand. You start counting the commissions, you know, and start spending it in your mind. And then you realize you get this phone call from somebody saying, hey, the deal just fell apart. The buyer can't get qualified or the seller backed out, whatever it might be. And so the stress of having everybody calling you, you've got two phones, you know, you're like, yeah, trying, you know, if you even answer, there's people, what drove me nuts is people wouldn't even answer a lot of times that should have answered in the process of our transaction. And so it just created a tremendous amount of stress. And what I do today, I absolutely love because it's stress-free. So your origin story ought to connect with your ideal client. It ought to amplify your offer. Instead of just saying, hey, this is what I do. Here's my business card, which no one reads. You know, and I love when I don't anymore, but years ago, I would go to networking events, and it was always funny when people would hand me their business card. They wouldn't just hand me one. They would hand me like a stack, assuming that I was going to stand on the street corner and just start passing them out. And I'm like, I don't really care because there's no story to bridge this relationship. There's no story. I don't know who you are. All I know is that we've talked maybe for 5 or 10 minutes at this BNI or other networking Chamber of Commerce type of networking event. And that's about it. But there's no connection. I don't really know, like, and trust you yet. And so they were just hoping that this was going to work. And let's face it, the reality is most people, when they get a stack of business cards from some stranger they don't know, like, or trust, those business cards end up going into the trash can. So my hope for you in this video today is to share with you that you've got to develop your origin story. Tell about what life used to be. Tell the turning point in your journey, and then tell what your life is like today. And if you're still in the middle or in the beginning, that's okay too. Tell that as well. The idea is that you are bridging the gap, that you are connecting with your audience, and you're amplifying your offer. You're making it make sense to your dream client, and you're bridging the fact that you are related to it somehow. What got you into it? What was the aha moment, the epiphany that you had that got you into your business? So that's my video for today. I hope you enjoy it. Again, like, subscribe. Feel free to comment if you've got any questions about that. Listen, I do this for a living. I work with 6, 7, and 8 figure clients who do up to 30 million in a year. Digital marketing with digital products, and live a dream lifestyle. So if you've got questions, definitely pick my brain. I'm happy to answer that. Put the questions in the comment, and as soon as I see them, I'll respond to them. Thanks so much.